Shalom Aleichem. Peace be upon you and welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Shawn. Today we are looking at this week's Torah portion, which is called Vayira. It's Exodus chapter 6, starting with verse 2, going through chapter 9, verse 35. Let me give you the portion summary from TorahPortions.org, which reads, the second reading from the book of Exodus and the 14th reading from the Torah is named Vayira, which means, and I appeared. The title comes from the first words of the second verse of the reading, which says, and I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as God Almighty. The portion begins with four expressions of redemption, whereby God promises to bring Israel out of Egyptian bondage. The narrative progresses to tell the story of the first 7 of 10 plagues that God unleashed on Egypt. So that is what is on the agenda this morning, 7 of these plagues. And something that I try to point out as often as I can when we're talking about this subject is to remind us that Egypt has come to a place where God has decided to judge her and free his people. And as we're going to see demonstrated here by the scriptures, is that he's doing these things to, one, make himself known to his people who he has a special covenant with, so that they know he is Jehovah. But also, to let the Egyptians know that, hey, the river's not God, the frogs are not God, there is one true God in heaven. It's not Pharaoh, it's Jehovah, the God of the Hebrews. And by the end of it, they will come to that conclusion as well. Let's start, because we got to stop as soon as we start, with verse 2. This is where it picks up. I'm reading from the Hallelujah Scriptures here. And Elohim spoke to Moshe and said to him, I am Jehovah, and I appeared to Abraham and to Yitzchak and to Yaakov as El Shaddai. And by my name, Jehovah, was I not known to them? So please note, depending on what translation you're looking at, and it's important to remember that every single translation is an interpretation. Every single one. It's impossible to take the Hebrew language, translate it into another language without interpretation involved. This is an important thing that people need to understand. But when you're reading most English translations, it's going to say something like this. God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Lord. And I appeared to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob as God Almighty, but by my name the Lord I did not make myself known to them. Now, the way that's phrased, that was the ESV, that would be an untrue statement, because God did tell Abraham that his name was Jehovah, and he told Jacob that as well. And so we know that God has made himself known as Jehovah to those people, at least to Abraham and to Jacob. So this sentence doesn't make sense. What's going on here? Well, there's two possibilities, and really they're one and the same. If you read it in the King James Bible, you'll see that it's worded as a question. Now, the King James Bible doesn't have a question mark after it, but you'll see it's worded as a question, and here in the Hallelujah Scriptures, it's phrased as a question. It's rhetorical. He says, and I appeared to Abraham and to Yitzchak and to Yaakov as El Shaddai, meaning God Almighty, and by my name Jehovah was I not known to them? ? So it's not saying I wasn't known to them. It's a rhetorical question. But here's what I think's really going on here. The important part. God is telling Moses, in my opinion here, that just like I had a significant, intimate, special relationship with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I'm also entering into that intimate, significant relationship with you, Moses. And you can trust that I'm going to do the things that I said I'm going to do, just like they trusted. And you don't have to be afraid to go before Pharaoh, even though you can't talk good. Because I'm Jehovah, and I am with you, and I'm going to make you like a god in Pharaoh's eyes, and your brother Aaron will be like your prophet. That's what's really going on here with this statement, in my opinion. So let's take that information and move forward with the story. And I appeared to Abraham and to Yitzchak and to Yaakov as El Shaddai, and by my name Jehovah was I not known to them? And I also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their sojournings in which they have sojourned. And I have also heard of the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Mithrites are enslaving, and I have remembered my covenant. Say therefore to the children of Israel, I am Jehovah, and I shall bring you out from under the burdens of the Mithrites, and shall deliver you from their enslaving, and shall redeem you with an outstretched arm, and with great judgments. And shall take you as my people, and I shall be your Elohim. And you shall know that I am Jehovah, your Elohim, who is bringing you out from under the burdens of the Mithrites. And I shall bring you into the land which I swore to give to Abraham, and to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov, to give it to you as an inheritance. I am Jehovah. And Moshe spoke this to the children of Israel, but they did not listen to Moshe because of shortness of spirit and from hard slavery. So please note, Moshe goes to them and tells them this information, but they're not receiving it. And it says because they were short of spirit and from the hard slavery, they were worn down. You ever got to a place where you're just so beat down, so defeated, that you just can't accept anything? You just can't dare to let yourself believe and hope in anything. You've been disappointed way too many times. That's the feeling that the Israelites are going through right now. But they're about to get a jolt as they start to see Jehovah work in their lives. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Go and speak to Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, to let the children of Israel go out of this land. And Moshe spoke before Jehovah, saying, The children of Israel have not listened to me. And why would Pharaoh listen to me? For I am of uncircumcised lips. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, and gave them a command for the children of Israel and for Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Mitzrayim. These are the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Yisrael, Hanak, and Palu, Hetzron, and Carmi. These are the clans of Reuben. And the sons of Shimeon, Yemuel, Yamin, and Ohad, and Yakin, and Sahor, and Shaul, the son of the Canaanite woman. These are the clans of Shimeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi according to their generations, Gershon, and Kahath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137. The sons of Gershon, Libni, and Shimi, according to their clans. And the sons of Kahath, Amram, and Yitzhar, and Chabram, and Uziel. And the years of the life of Kahath were 133. The sons of Merari, Mahali, and Mushi. These are the clans of Levi according to their generations. And Amram took for himself Jochebed, his father's sister, as a wife, and she bare him Aaron and Moshe. And the years of the life of Amram were 137. And the sons of Yehar, Korah, and Napheg, and Zikri, and the sons of Uziel, Mishael, and Elzaphan, and Sithri. Aaron took to himself Elisheva, daughter of Aminadab, sister of Nahashon, as wife. And she bore him Nadav, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. And the sons of Korach, Asur, Eklenah, and Abishaph. These are the clans of the Kirites. And Eleazar, Aaron's son, took for himself one of the daughters of Putiel, his as wife, and she bare him Phahinus. These are the heads of the fathers of the Levites, according to their clans. This is who Aaron and Moshe, to whom Jehovah said, bring out the children of Israel from the land of Mitzrayim, according to their divisions. They were the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, to bring out the children of Israel from Mitzrayim. This is Moshe and Aaron. And it came to be, on the day when Jehovah spoke to Moshe in the land of Mitzrayim, that Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, I am Jehovah, speak to Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, all that I say to you. And Moshe said before Jehovah, see, I am of uncircumcised lips, and why would Pharaoh listen to me? Chapter 7. So Jehovah said to Moshe, see, I have made you an Elohim to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your Navi, that is to say, prophet. And you shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh, to let the children of Israel go out of this land. But I am going to harden the heart of Pharaoh, and shall increase my signs and my wonders in the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh is not going to listen to you, and I shall lay my hand on Mitzrayim, and bring my divisions and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Mitzrayim by great judgments. Please note, again, like I was saying before, this isn't poor Pharaoh, as some try to take issue. Pharaoh didn't have a choice. He was wanting to let the people go. Pharaoh and Egypt are under God's judgment, and the hardening of Pharaoh's heart is part of God's judgment. They're being judged for enslaving the Israelites. As part of the judgment, they're due these 10 plagues, which are also going to show them who the one true God is, because they're worshiping all kinds of gods, like the river as an example. So this isn't some thing where Pharaoh would really just want to let them go, but can't. That's not what's going on here. In fact, verse 5 tells part of what God's plan is. And the Mistrat shall know that I am Jehovah, when I stretch out my hand on Mitzrayim, that is to say, Egypt, and I shall bring the children of Israel out from among them. And Moshe and Aaron did as Jehovah commanded them, so they did. Now Moshe was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spoke to Pharaoh. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, show a miracle for yourselves, then you shall say to Aaron, take your rod and throw it before Pharaoh, and let it become a serpent. So Moshe and Aaron went to Pharaoh, and they did so, as Jehovah commanded. And Aaron threw his rod before Pharaoh, and it became his servant, and it became a serpent. I'm sorry, let me reread that. And Aaron threw his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. But Pharaoh also called the wise men and the practitioners of witchcraft. And they, the magicians of Mitzrayim, also did so with their magic. So please note, the scriptures make sure to tell us in the Torah not to participate in these things, to participate in witchcraft and sorcery and fortune-telling and all of these things. Why does it warn us against this? Because it exists. Because there is demonic powers that some of these people get their hands on. And it was really prevalent, I believe, in the old world, going specifically in Egypt. And so what we see here is this miracle performed by Aaron when he throws his rod down, which was God-given gift to be able to perform this miracle, but these practitioners of witchcraft, these magicians, they're able to replicate it. And I don't think this would just be some kind of sleight of hand trickery. I mean, this is happening seemingly simultaneously. And they did, each one. Now, we are going to get to some things they can't replicate, right? And then they themselves are going to look at Pharaoh and say, it's obviously the one true God. We'll get to that when we get to that. Verse 12. And they, each one, threw down his rod, and they became serpents, but the rod of Aaron swallowed up their rods. Please note, that's an interesting also fact, demonstrating the power of the one true God. Aaron's rod swallows their rods. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he did not listen to them, as Jehovah had said. And Jehovah said to Moshe, the heart of Pharaoh is hard. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he goes out to the water, and you shall stand by the river's bank to meet him. And take in your hand the rod which was turned into a serpent, and you shall say to him, Jehovah, the Elohim of the Ivrim, that is to say the Hebrews, has sent me to you, saying, let my people go, so that they serve me in the wilderness. But see, until now you have not listened. Thus said Jehovah, by this you know that I am Jehovah. See, I am striking the waters which are in the river with the rod that is in my hand, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Mizrahites shall find it impossible to drink the water of the river. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, say to Aaron, take your rod, stretch out your hand over the waters of Mitzrayim, over their streams and over their rivers, and over their ponds, and over all their pools of water, and they become blood. And there shall be blood in all the land of Mitzrayim, both in the wooden and in the stone containers. And Moshe and Aaron did as Jehovah commanded, and he lifted up the rod, and he struck the waters that were in the river, in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that were in the river died, and the river stank. And the Mizrahites were unable to drink the water of the river, and the blood was in the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians of Mitzrayim did the same with their magic. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not listen to them as Jehovah had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house, and his heart was not moved by this either. And all the Mizrahites dug around the river for water to drink, for they were unable to drink the water of the river. And 7 days were completed after Jehovah had struck the river. Please note, why doesn't Pharaoh just have Aaron and Moses executed? Right? Like, that would solve the problem. Hey, they just attacked your river god and turned all the waters to river. Now nobody can drink. Have them beheaded right there. It goes back to this beginning, to the statement about this earlier, which is that Jehovah was going to make Moshe a god in Pharaoh's eyes. Pharaoh is obviously scared to do anything where Moses is concerned. That's the only reasonable explanation, right? All right, we got 2 more chapters to read and a couple more plagues to get through, so let's continue on, starting with chapter 8, verse 1. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, go to Pharaoh and say to him, thus says Jehovah, let my people go, that they may serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, see, I am smiting all your borders with frogs. And the river shall swarm with frogs, and they shall go up and shall come into your house and into your bedroom, and on your bed, and into the houses of your servants, and on your people, and into your ovens, and into your kneading bowls. And the frogs shall come up on you and on your servants, people, and all your servants. And Jehovah said to Moshe, say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your rod over the streams and over the rivers and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up on the land of Mitzrayim. So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Mitzrayim, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians did so with their magic, and brought up frogs on the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh then called for Moshe and Aaron and said, pray to Jehovah to take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I shall let the people go to slaughter to Jehovah. And Moshe said to Pharaoh, explain yourself to me, when I am to pray for you and your servants and your people to destroy the frogs from you and your houses, and remain only in the river. So he said, tomorrow. And he said, let it be according to your word, so that you know that there is none one like Jehovah, our Elohim. And the frogs shall turn aside from you and from your houses and from your servants and from your people. They shall remain in the river only. And Moshe and Aaron went out from Pharaoh. And Moshe cried out to Jehovah concerning the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. And Jehovah did according to the word of Moshe, and the frogs died out of the houses and out of the courtyards and out of the fields. And they gathered them together in heaps, and the land stank. And when Pharaoh saw there was relief, he hardened his heart and did not listen to them, as Jehovah had said. Please note, this is not a Pharaoh issue, this is a human condition issue. You've seen it in people's lives. Maybe even if you're honest, you could look in the mirror and say, I've seen it in my own life from time to time. And this is where the crisis comes. You get on your face before God and you pray and you clean up your behavior a little bit. You know, you're like, I swear I'm going to act right on this issue. And, you know, maybe you do a little fasting and whatnot. And then you get the issue, and the issue gets resolved, right? God comes through. And then it's not long and you see that person right back participating in the filth, living the old life again, right? Like the crisis, they had the crisis, they come to church, or they come to you for prayer, and then they go right back. Haven't you seen that 1,000 times? It's just unfortunately part of so much of human nature. And you kind of see this with people who are not really committed to God, but they find themselves in a crisis, and so they have to commit to God for a moment, for a season. Pharaoh here. Get the frogs away, make this problem go away, and then I'll let you guys go, right? Frogs go away. He sees that everything's kind of back to normal. And it says that when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and did not listen to them, as Jehovah had said. Verse 16. And Jehovah said to Moshe, say to Aaron, stretch out your rod, strike the dust of the land so it becomes gnats in all the land of Mitzrayim. And they did so, and Aaron stretched out his hand and his rod and struck the dust of the earth, and it became gnats on man and beast, and all the dust of the land became gnats in all the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians did similarly with their magic to bring forth gnats, but they were unable, and there were gnats on man and beast. The magicians said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of Elohim. But the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not listen to them, as Jehovah had said. So please note, now we're getting in some territory where the magicians with their witchcraft and their sorcery are unable to replicate. They recognize they can't replicate this, and they go to Pharaoh and they say, look, this is the finger of God. But the heart of Pharaoh was still hardened. Verse 20. And Jehovah said to Moshe, rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water, and say to him, thus says Jehovah, let my people go, so that they may serve me. Or else, if you do not let my people go, see, I am sending swarms of flies on you and your servants and your people, and into your houses, and the houses of the Mizrahites shall be filled with swarms of flies, and also on the ground which they stand. And in that day I shall separate the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, so that you know that I am Jehovah in the midst of the land. And I shall put a distinction between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign shall be. So please note, this is where it really gets significant and beautiful. Now there's going to be an obvious separation of the judgments happening on the Egyptians, but not impacting God's people. The scriptures say God knows how to roll out judgment, but also preserve his own people. And this is a perfect example of how he's able to do this, which is why we don't need to fear when God rains out judgment. He's able to protect his people. We've got thousands of years of history where he protects his people in the midst of the judgment. That doesn't mean you're going to be comfortable. That doesn't mean that things won't be fearful or difficult. Let's continue on. And Jehovah did so, and thick swarms of flies came into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Mitzrayim. And the land was ruined because of the swarms of flies. Pharaoh then called for Moshe and Aaron and said, go slaughter the Elohim in the land. And Moshe said, it is not right to do so, for we would be slaughtering the abomination of the Mizrahites to Jehovah our Elohim. See, if we slaughter the abomination of Mizrahites before their eyes, will they not stone us? Let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, and then we shall slaughter to Jehovah our Elohim, as he has commanded us. And Pharaoh said, I am letting you go, then you shall slaughter to Jehovah your Elohim in the wilderness, only do not go very far away. Pray for me. And Moshe said, See, when I leave you, I shall pray to Jehovah, and tomorrow the swarms of the flies shall depart from Pharaoh, from his servants and from the people, but do not let Pharaoh again deceive, not to let the people go to slaughter to Jehovah. And Moshe went out from Pharaoh and prayed to Jehovah, and Jehovah did according to the word of Moshe, and he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. Not one remained. But Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time too, and did not let the people go. Chapter 9, 35 more verses. And Jehovah said to Moshe, Go to Pharaoh and speak to him. Thus said Jehovah Elohim of the Evarim, that is to say the Hebrews, Let my people go, so that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go, and still hold them, see, the hand of Jehovah is on your livestock in the field, and on the horses, and on the donkeys, and on the camels, and on the cattle, and on the sheep, a very grievous pestilence. And Jehovah shall separate between the livestock of Yisrael and the livestock of Mitzrayim. And let no matter die of all that belongs to the children of Yisrael. And Jehovah made an appointment time, saying, Tomorrow Jehovah is going to do this word in the land. And Jehovah did this word on the next day, and all the livestock of Mitzrayim died, but the livestock of the children of Yisrael, not one died. And then Pharaoh sent, and see, not even one of the livestock of Yisraelites was dead. But the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. And Jehovah said to Moshe and to Aaron, Fill your hands with ashes from the furnace, and let Moshe scatter it towards the Shamayim, that is to say heavens, before the eyes of Pharaoh. And it shall become fine dust in all the land of Mitzrayim. And it shall cause boils that break out and sores on man and on beast, in all the land of Mitzrayim. So they took ashes from the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moshe scattered them toward the Shamayim. And they caused boils breaking out and sores on man and beast. And the magicians were unable to stand before Moshe because of the boils, for the boils on the magicians and all the Mizrahites. But Jehovah hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not listen to them, as Jehovah had said to Moshe. And Jehovah said to Moshe, Rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh and say to him, Thus said Jehovah Elohim of the Evarim, Let my people go so that they may serve me. For at this time I am sending all my plagues unto your heart, and unto your servants, and on your people, so that you know there is no one like me in all the earth. Now if I had stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with pestilence, then you would have been cut off from the earth. And for this reason I have raised you up, in order to show you my power, and in order to declare my name in all the earth. You still exalt yourself against my people, in that you do not let them go. See, tomorrow, about this time I am causing very heavy hail to rain down, such as not been in Mitzrayim from the day of its founding until now. And now, send, bring your livestock to safety, and all that you have in the field, for the hail shall come down on every man and every beast which is found in the field and is not brought home, and they shall die. Please note, you know what's coming to mind as you think about old school warfare and how before a place was about to be riddled with bombs, the planes would fly over and drop little leaflets, right? Paper that has warnings on it saying, you better be gone from here tomorrow because tomorrow the bombs are falling. And God does the same thing with Pharaoh. He tells him, look, the whole reason that you were brought up to be in the position that you're in is so that I can declare my name to the Mizrahites, the Egyptians, and to the whole world that I am Jehovah, and that you may know that I am the one true God. Tomorrow there's going to be hail falling from the sky like has never been seen in Egypt. So you better bring your livestock in, because tomorrow it falls. And if you do not, those among your servants the livestock left in the field is going to die. Verse 20. Those among the servants of Pharaoh who revered the word of Jehovah made their servants and livestock flee to the houses. But those who did not lay their heart on the word of Jehovah left their servants and livestock in the field. And then Jehovah said to Moshe, stretch out your hand toward the Shemayim, and let there be hail in all the land of Mitzrayim. By the way, I just have to point this out. You have two groups of people. You have those who revered Jehovah, feared his word, and took action. And then you have the fools who have seen all these plagues happening, and they still refuse to believe. They're stiff-necked. Here's the outcome. Then Jehovah said to Moshe, stretch out your hand toward the Shemayim, and let there be hail in all the land of Mitzrayim, on man and on beast, and on every plant of the field throughout the land of Mitzrayim. And then Moshe stretched out his rod toward the Shemayim, and Jehovah sent thunder and hail, and fire came down to the earth, and Jehovah rained hail on the land of Mitzrayim. Thus there came to be hail and fire flashing continually in the midst of the hail, very heavy, such as has not been seen in all the land of Mitzrayim since it became a nation. And the hail smote in all the land of Mitzrayim, all that was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail smote every plant of the field, and broke every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Yisrael were, there was no hail. And Pharaoh then sent and called for Moshe and Aaron, and said to them, I have sinned this time. Jehovah is righteous, and my people are wicked. Pray to Jehovah that there has been enough of the thunder and the hail of Elohim, and letting you go, so that you may stay no longer. And Jehovah said to him, as soon as I go out of the city, let me spread out my hands to Jehovah, and let the thunder cease, and the hail be no more, so that you know that the earth belongs to Jehovah. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not yet fear before Jehovah Elohim. And the flax and the barley were smitten, and the barley was in the head, and the flax was in the bud. But the wheat and the spelt were not smitten, for they were late crops. And Moshe went out from the city of Pharaoh, and spread out his hands to Jehovah, and the thunder and the hail ceased, and the rain was not poured on the earth. And Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder had ceased, and yet he sinned again, and hardened his heart, he and his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the children of Israel go, as Jehovah had said through Moshe. And that, my friends, is where the portion stops for this week. I pray you've been blessed. And I hope that you've had your hearts pierced, and that you've had some things to dwell on and to think about. But most of all, I pray that your confidence, as you read this story, that your confidence in God, in His sovereignty, and in His power, and in His love and protection for His own people, I pray that your confidence has increased, and that your faith has increased. Thank you for listening, my friends. Please consider supporting the mission of truth. If you're being blessed by this podcast, and you want to hear it continue, and you want it to flourish, go to scriptureandprophecy.com. There's a donate and support tab at the top. And if you're unable to do so, your prayers are much coveted. Please consider praying for me and the podcast itself. That's all I have for you this morning. Shalom, peace, and grace be with all of you. And until next time, God bless.